What's up, everybody? I just watched another one of those the Japanese artist Ado. I don't know how to say her name, and wanted to go to something I understand a little bit more now, and something I can actually break down vocally a little bit more. Probably give more insight on, because when it comes to young Japanese singers, there's not as much I can say about that. Anyway. Wanted to go way back to Nirvana, and I've never talked about Kurt Cobain's voice. Was never actually a big Nirvana fan, which is probably going to instantly be people being like, "Fuck this guy." But of course, I'm familiar with his voice, and one of my specialties as a vocal coach, etc., is dissecting people's voices and figuring out exactly what they're doing, exactly what they're kind of doing good and bad and wrong and this and all that kind of stuff. So let's do this. This is Smells Like Teen Spirit. We're going to listen to his vocal only. We're going to talk about it a little bit, see if we can make some sense of it. So if you want to join me in this journey, everybody shut up. I'm going to sing stuff. All right. I don't know if I've ever listened to this before, but let's get right into it. I think this video starts right out of the gate, so they just kind of cut right into his vocal, etc. But, yeah, we'll kind of talk about the production, all that kind of shit. And I don't know his vocal health because he wasn't around that long, you know? He, sadly, whatever happened to him. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know if he was singing in sustainable ways. I don't know if he was able to sing show after show. I think he was doing well for a while there, but I know with this song from some of the things I saw with Sound City and stuff like that from the producer Butch, that he did blow his voice out tracking this song. That's usually not a good sign, but then again, sometimes, you know, being in a big studio, getting paid a lot of money to record stuff or a little bit, whatever the hell, is more of a stressful situation than me sitting here in my house, you know, my home studio doing something. But I, as a vocalist, have never actually blown my voice out. I've gotten close, and I've, you know, definitely damaged things and hurt things, but I've never actually, and I just lost my voice. That's a good representation, right? So I do know from the stuff I've seen that he actually was going full ham on this, and did blow his voice out by like the end of the song. Or was at least starting to lose his voice. So anyway, starting right out of the gate here, let's do this.
Load up on guns, bring your friends, it's fun to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. I know, a dirty word.
That's cool. It sounds like they made a cut right there. This is probably recorded on the tape, I'm guessing, but it sounded like they did a cut there really quick, or maybe it was just part of the program.
Dirty word.
Let's take it back 1 second.
I know, a dirty.
Yeah, they did a cut right there. You hear the difference in the breaths. You hear, doesn't matter to most people, but interesting to note because you don't hear that shit when you're listening to the recording, and how many people like myself were dominated by this song for so long. So I'm going to pull up a piano here in case I need it in terms of this stuff. Now, he was a smaller human being than I am, so he, can we get a piano here? Now we have pianos. So coming back to this, we have a smoky version of a voice here. When we get into these, what I mean by that is not that he smoked. And no, we're not going to perpetuate distortion and success with distortional voices and stuff by smoking or whatever the hell you know these young people are doing. These damn young kids. But we have a smokier kind of whispery thing going on. Sometimes that can be cool for effect, and that can do, you know, fun, and it can lead you into distortion, but a lot of times that's going to be sort of more of an improper distortion. I don't have to go too far with this or talk about it too much, but let me put up the lyrics as well, because I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And in terms of that, one of the reasons I never got into Nirvana is that when I was a younger person trying to connect lyrically with the band, I didn't ever understand what Kurt was talking about. And, you know, to each his own, but that personally just deterred me as a listener because I just didn't know what the fuck. Like, especially with this song, like, I remembered finally kind of reading the lyrics and being like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So, yeah, I ended up connecting more with bands like Pink Floyd because The Wall and stuff really connected me with my big melancholy self. But anyway, yeah, so we have Load up on guns, bring your friends, it's fun to lose and to pretend. You hear that kind of consistent open vocal cord kind of coordination I'm in. So we have load up on guns, bring your friends is connected. Load up on. So there I'm just whispering, but I'm compressing to make up for the airflow that I'm leaking. So to get into that, you know, again, I'm not going to try to make this a huge lesson thing here. I have plenty of lesson videos, but if I go, and then I whisper, and I just leak air. So if we have this here, I've explained this before. Think about like a stone here where my vocal cords are. I'm going to leak air up over top of that stone. Then again, I'm going to kind of tighten my throat a little bit. There's different ways to do this. There's different places you can compress. But I'm just going to try to go, and then I'm going to try to sing from that place. So if you want to get better at that, start with one note, maybe one sound. Ma, 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 ma. Then I'm going to start trying to put words through it. Load up on guns, bring your friends, yeah, like that. Then we'll try to put it back in. Load up on guns, bring your friends, Now, when I do that, I tend to engage this muscle more. I used to just completely distort my voice from that place, from learning how to do this stuff. But it tends to be problematic almost constantly when you're distorting or pulling from here. This is pulling the vocal cords from here, so it's kind of getting into problematic areas. Either way, navigate these things yourself and try to figure them out. But if I take that and I keep ramping it up, like that, it's just this muscle going like this. So get to know that. We don't want to continue to just keep stretching that as we go higher, but it's working right now for what we're doing. It's giving me a little bit of distortion and a little bit of that smoky thing. Then he was backing down in terms of quietness so he could get to falsetto notes and stuff like that. Bring your friends. He's gonna get some of that going on. I know he doesn't do it there, but bring your friends, fun to lose and to pretend. He's just being quiet enough to kind of break into falsetto there. So let's keep going. But anyway, yeah, if you want to get some of that quality, a lot of it's coming simply from that thing like that.
Dirty word. Hello, 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 hello.
Interesting. So this had just a verb on it.
A dirty word.
It's had a decent verb on it. And now there's no verb on this, so I guess it just kind of sits in the pocket more intensely. If you don't know this from music production, reverb tends to push things backwards, and then having them dry tends to pull them forward, so they'll be more intense and right in your face. So we have a vocal double, which is the same part sang the exact same way twice, and then split between stereo, so we have the left side and the right side. And that's what you're hearing right now with how low, hello, and how low, and all that.
Hello, 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 hello.
And we get a little bit of his voice too in terms of which he had a lot of kind of a little bit of almost a southern twangy kind of thing, and just a nasal brattiness that comes through. And I mean that in a good way. As you're learning these things, you have to learn how to use this stuff, and there's only certain ways that you can describe them. But his voice definitely would have had a bratty quality, like this. So we'll get into that further.
Hello, 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 hello. With the lights out.
So we have to talk about how he was building up the energy there too, because that was really great. He was going, hello, 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 and he was starting to pull in more of that power as he was going.
Hello, 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 hello. With the lights out, it's the dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us, after stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. I'm Lotto, I'm Albino, I'm a Mosquito.
So the cool thing about if you're trying to replicate this stuff is you hear him getting into like an upper palate and possibly a false chord distortion throughout most of this. He's kind of getting into a nice upper pocket and lifting up into that for his higher notes, which are probably a little bit pushed outside of his chest, or quite, for me, it's pushed outside of chest, meaning I got to do more things to get this to work. But his voice was higher than mine, so he was probably pushing that level right close to his bridge, or maybe a little bit over it. But then his distortion, as it was coming down, was landing in, landing here. So he was kind of getting into a place where he could kind of speak with it. And what's kind of cool with distortion is that as you get better with it, if you can find a distortion in chest voice and try to take it up, a lot of times that's more difficult, and usually false chord distortion. And you're building a wall, so you're kind of hitting a wall as you go up with it. But if you can find a distortion then higher, and then try to bring it down, it's easier and usually healthier than because that usually chokes you off. Everybody's different with this stuff. Depends on your understanding of mixed voice, open throat, all this different kind of stuff. But it's a good thing to kind of listen for, to kind of hear, or to practice. Again, right here, we have, where the lights out, it's a dangerous, here we are now. There, I'm just in speaking voice mostly. Just going like that. So I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to belt. I don't have to push as hard because I'm just sitting in, here we are now. I'm just making a funny voice in a sense. And I know everybody's got trouble finding this stuff, and everybody's trying to learn how to do it and everything. I understand that. But for me, it's a placement-based thing. You can tell I'm doing absolutely zero work there. So again, the idea of, having to compress really hard or having to pick up something or whatever only tends to exist more as you're trying to find these things, or as you're trying to really move up higher in your range. For me right now, I can speak like this too. Yeah. But again, you can hear that when he dives from the top. Here we are now, entertainers, is much different up there. But it gives him a really powerful, guttural conviction kind of to what he's singing. Even though I have no idea what the hell he was talking about.
Yeah! Hey!
Oh, cool. So they actually kept that in one take. That's cool, man.
Yay!
Another thing you never hear. I didn't know he said hey and then yay. I guess there's another kind of way that you can hear this too with like grunge. How there was kind of a dirty, emotional feel to a lot of this stuff. Like right there. Hey! Is not the conventional 80s type of clean, here we stand, worlds apart hearts. It's got more of the, I don't give a shit kind of feel to it. That's fun.
I'm worse at what I do best. And
I do best. So again, it seems like he's kind of going, down here, but he's kind of still moving into the upper palate as well.
This gift I feel blessed. A little group has always been, always will until the end. Hello.
So there you can hear a little bit more. I don't mean to keep breaking this down every step by step, but you could hear a little bit more of how he's keeping himself close to his bridge, and he can break into that, and he broke over whatever, to the part where his voice is breaking on purpose. But as we continue to talk about this, man, as I continue to study distortion in my own voice and then trying to do these things live for many hours on end and everything, I keep trying to remember not to get tense and then loosen up and get tense and loosen up again. As you tend to find distortion first, a lot of people are probably going to have more of a dichotomy between clean singing, distortional singing, clean singing, distortional singing. And the more you can kind of get to know how to slowly turn that on like a knob, the better off you're going to be. And again, I think I just literally talked about this in the last video. But anyway, imagine your voice like a triangle, and that you're going to be moving up and compressing into the space the higher you go. And if I can continue to imagine that space being nasal, being bratty, and being kind of this bitchy, whiny up here, the better off I'll be with that knob type of thing. So it's not Metallica, hey, 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 this kind of thing down here. It's more, hey, Also, distortion usually works a little bit better the next day or the next day after you've been practicing it, not blowing your voice out. That's not what I mean. And so try to be comfortable with finding more of a sandpaper quality, like you kind of heard my voice right there, instead of distortion. instead of I'm singing with distortion. So if I went hello, 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 there's just a little bit of in there, and there's not a lot of it, but it's better and healthier, especially for the, if I jumped in and I haven't sang for like 5 days, than just straight up heavy distortion. So you'll continue to find these things, but as you just heard right there, let's take this with a siren. I don't remember where the note is in terms of the chorus, but we'd have to find it. This is pretty high. This is over my bridge. But let's take this, and again, we're going to imagine moving up into that place. Hear that? It's like an EH. So I'm mixing, I'm lowering my larynx, I'm doing a lot of things to get there. But again, it's still that mentality of it's getting tinier and smaller in terms of space up here. Now I'm going to try to move that more into that bratty space and just think about my distortion like a knob. So you hear me kind of moving into it as opposed to like this. So that's a cool thing to keep in mind, but let's keep going. Same chorus coming up.
Hello, 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 hello.
Another fun thing I will mention is that life tends to work in cycles. We have ups and we have downs. So speaking of the 80s, where men were dressing up as pretty as they could, as feminine as they could, leather pants that were hugging their nuts, complete feminine makeup, hair, everything. The dichotomy of that and what breaks that is usually the opposite. And again, this is music that seemingly doesn't care as much. Of course they did, but his vocal take has more of a lackluster. Here it is, man. Fuck you. His appearance was kind of more just grungy. His hair is kind of fucked up, and it just had to do more with, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do totally this thing. And that's what a lot of this stuff's born from. It's taking something from the norm and then being like, nope, and then going the exact opposite direction.
Hello, hello. With the lights out, it's just dangerous.
By the way, you should know that this is a vocal double as well. So I haven't listened to him do this live too many times. But this is 2 parts again. It's the same thing. So if it sounds heavier to you, when you take a distorted vocal and then you do another distorted vocal that's the same, put them together, it's absolutely going to sound more heavy. But if it was just one, it might not sound quite as heavy as you think. So then when you're trying to sing it, you're trying to go full blast, you might have to be a little bit more lenient on yourself because this is 2 Kurtz. 2 Kurtz.
Here we are now. Entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now. Entertain us. I'm a mulatto. I'm albino. I'm a mosquito. My libido.
So if I sing an albino, I want you to just hear really quick, I'm more of a lower voice, how much I got to go into the nose and how much he was still able to stay in chest. So we'll try to go back to that part really quick.
I'm a mosquito. My libido. Albino.
So, albino! I'm able to keep it open there, but that's B flat 4. Albino! Albino! If you can tell, a mosquito, my libido! Yeah! I have to have more of this in there because my voice has to go up to there, and I'm further over my bridge than he is. You can't tell very much right now because I'm surprisingly doing it decent, but I haven't sang in a number of days because I was on vacation. But hooray for me. Good job, bro. All right, here we go.
I'm a mosquito. My libido. Yay!
Yay.
Hey.
So that's just one vocal there. Hey!
Yay!
So why is this the most watched part? I would imagine.
I taste
Oh, okay. They just skipped the solo.
and I forget just why I taste. So yeah, I guess it makes me smile.
So he was so great at adding emotion. And again, probably writing a lot of like just stream of consciousness where he didn't even necessarily know what he was talking about. I mean that in a loving way. Like, I don't mean like he probably, I mean, I write sometimes like that from stream of consciousness as well. One of my favorite musicians of all time is Tom York, writes stream of consciousness most of the time, which means that the words are just kind of coming through and they don't necessarily have to make perfect sense or be completely like telling a story. And I forget just why I taste, oh yeah, I guess it makes me smile. I found it hard. It's hard to find a well. Like, that doesn't mean anything. And maybe it did to him, but you know what I'm saying here. But he sounds literally like he's telling some sad story, and like there's real emotional connection to that, but it's funny. It doesn't seem to mean anything. And possibly, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but he was very good at adding those kind of emotional sounds to these things, and it sounded painful, and it sounded rough. But again, just why I taste, it makes me like, what the fuck is that about? Let's do it again.
And I forget just why I taste, so yeah, I guess it makes me smile. I found
You can literally see him or see somebody explaining that. I guess it makes me smile. I found it hard. It's hard to find. And you hear him, you can like kind of see him telling a story with his head down. Like, I can see the character. But again, it sounds like a crazy person. It sounds like a homeless dude. And you're just like, what are you talking about? Oh, you're talking to somebody that's not there? Okay.
it was hard to find. Well, whatever, never mind. Hello.
So we'll skip over the hellos and we'll get to this last chorus. If this was tracked sequentially, I think he does start to break up and lose his voice here at the end from what I heard, but I don't know. Let's listen.
With the lights out, it's just dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now.
So I do hear those as his false chords. His voice is so much different than mine, and my false chords sound so much thicker and lower. There we are. But I can hear down here through that those are a lot of times there's false chords and upward palate distortion as well at the same time, but he's balancing back between those. But if he's getting into a trouble area where he's going to start losing his voice, it's most likely because he's going a little too ham with compression down here. There was another cut. Did you hear that? I love to hear stuff like that. A cut in the tape where there's cut into a new take. You hear that quick?
I'm a mosquito, my libido, I deny.
There was another cut right there. Sorry.
I deny, I deny, I deny, I deny, I deny, I deny, I deny.
That's cool, man. So one of the takes, he just dropped off and then they kept the other one. But again, you can't tell that in the song. I couldn't really hear that he was losing his voice because the takes are together, but he was kind of starting to use a little bit more air there at the end. And that's not easy to sing, dude. If you're rehearsing this with a band or something, you're trying to do this, I don't do well with it. I can sit here and sing it all day, but for whatever reason, it's hard to keep myself loose enough to keep distorting this, putting emotion through it, and then keep singing I deny you, and keep doing that at the end kind of gets taxing. It's tiring. And again, there's different versions of this live. There's you walking around trying to do it, trying to be that guy, and then there's you standing on the mic stand just supporting, trying to get through it. So again, if you're trying to get better at doing these things, definitely take it into a rehearsal space, take it standing up. Try to do it with a band, etc., because these things become more challenging when you do it like that. But anyway, it was awesome. I remember when I heard this song, it's the last thing I'll say, I was just starting to get into drumming, I think, and I was like 10 years old. And I remembered hearing this song and being so like kind of just moved by it because it was, it was playing everywhere and it was so badass. And I remember thinking it was one of the best songs ever. And I remember seeing the video, but I also remember as I was starting to play drums, dude, when I can play this song, I'm going to be really good. And, circle back around to like now, most drummers know this is a pretty simple song. but it just had emotion and it just had all the right parts connecting at the same time, which made it amazing. But and Dave Grohl's obviously fantastic at what he does. So, but yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed some of this. I hope you got something out of this. If you have other things you'd like me to cover like this, you can definitely let me know in the comments. If you want to learn more about singing on Patreon, I'm teaching more over there than I do over here. Or if you just want to support me because you goddamn like me and want to be my friend, that's great too, man. Thank you. You can also sign up for lessons on my website, sterlingrjackson.com. I will see you soon.